Chapter 26. Sleuth carefully surveyed the rubble and fought back the wave of irritation. The entire alley and surrounding buildings were blown to rubble. No pony was hurt, but seriously hindered his investigation. Sparkle used her magic to scan the scene for any clues, not to move or disturb anything. She had been doing this for the last half hour, terrified that Little Moon might have been buried when the alley exploded. Anyway, there was no sign of the mayor. Little Moon's friends watched from the sidelines with trepidation. Still, why was the alley destroyed? He supposed the obvious answer they were getting close. At some point, he was getting desperate. This is good in Sleuth's opinion. Desperate ponies make mistakes. He wished he would have involved less property damage. Sparkle let out a sigh. This is hopeless. It would be impossible to find anything with the street and building collapsed in the sewer. The alley wasn't much more than a hole in the ground, filled with wire from sewer from broken pipes. It smelled something fierce. Sparkle was too worried about her friend to notice. At least Trixie must have caught his instruction, Dizzy said, lightening him a little. Then where the heck is she? Heartstrings demanded. We just found her and now she's gone and disappeared again. Twilight, you need to put a tracking spell on her next time you see her. Neil laughed at this, but had a hint of worry about it. She obviously isn't here, Heartstrings declared. We need to start looking for her. Something must have happened. No, Sleuth said, rejecting the idea outright. What? Why? Heartstrings glared down with suspension. The mayor had never been too trusting of him. This whole night court debacle making it hard to decide who she should trust. He doesn't want us running off and losing us again, Dizzy explained quickly. We don't really know what happened to Trixie. We have no idea where to start looking, Sleuth said, finishing the thought. Running around at random looking for your friends hasn't been working. Fine, Heartstrings said, crossing her legs. Just let the grunts do all the work. Sleuth had the Royal Guard and police working overtime, trying to find Little Moon. He knew he'd get grief for this later, but Little Moon's safety was his #1 concern at the moment. Let's go to the station, Sleuth said. I'll have some unicorns dig through the rubble. Perhaps they'll find something. He would do a more thorough search than he ever could. He had suspicion that the pony that did this hadn't done a good job of hiding the evidence as they hoped. He gave his orders to some of the officers who arrived on the scene earlier, and they nodded. Sir! Royal Guard ran up as they trotted towards the station. We found Trixie Little Moon! The whole group brightened at this. Where? Heartstrings demanded, getting face to face with the guard. The green grass is mentioned. The guard started, backing away from Heartstrings' glare. She's attacking it right now. Heartstrings' jaw dropped. What the hell would she do that? She's Little Moon, the guard replied like he'd answered everything. Explain, what's the situation? The guard Sleuth asked. 10 minutes ago, she came out of nowhere and destroyed the gate. She's fighting Duke Greengrass and its rangers right now. The guard shuddered. I didn't see it myself. I can only imagine the amount of bodies. Wait, what? Heartstrings asked, baffled. Dizzy Sparkle groaned. Sleuth face off. You know how Little Moon is like, the guard said. So Duke Greengrass stops her before any ponies die. She's probably painting the town red with her blood right now. Trixie isn't a murderer, Heartstrings proclaimed with absolute certainty. The guard looked at Heartstrings like he was a naive fool. How well do you really know Trixie Little Moon? Serial killers often hide behind friendly, smiling masks, pretending to be the sweetest, most loving pony alive. That doesn't describe Trixie at all, Heartstrings carried. The guard frowned for a moment. Well, she's still hiding behind a mask of some kind. Enough, Sleuth said with stern resolution. We don't have time for this. Yeah, Sparkle proclaimed. Trixie's in danger. And you. Sleuth glared at the guard and he wilted his stare. I'm going to have a long talk with your superior. We deal with facts and evidence. We are officers of the law, not gossiping midwives. You best remember that. The guard gulped and nodded. Yeah, so shut your pie hole. Heartstrings stomped her hoof for emphasis. The guard replied with an indignant huff, but did as he was instructed. Can you teleport all of us? Dizzy asked Sparkle. Sure, but it would be difficult, Sparkle replied. The Duke's mansion's a little far away. I don't think it would be very safe with so many ponies. Perhaps only Miss Sparkles to go, Sleuth suggested. And why is that? Heartstrings huffed. Both you and Dizzy are in no shape to fight, Sleuth replied. He knew the Bug Queen gave Dizzy quite a beating when they fought, and Heartstrings was so tired he was about to pass out right then and there. No way. Heartstrings refused, backing down a little. Sleuth's right, Sparkle said with no argument in her voice. I am the freshest ranger right now. Heartstrings looked ready to argue again, but Ditsy held up a hoof.
No, Twilight's right. Lyra, you're in no shape at all to fight. Yes, I mean what I say. You can barely stand.
But... Heartstrings gave a pained expression. Fine! She visibly deflated and her ears drooped. She looked right down, dejected.
Go on, Ditsy motioned with her head. Say your Nancy. I'll catch up later.
She spread her wings for emphasis. It's morphin' time! Corvus! Twilight sparkled, transformed. Every pony watched her amazed.
It's pretty cool, Twilight,
Ditsy complimented. Heartstrings smiled with approval. Twilight nodded, lit up her horn. I'll make sure she's safe. Right before Sparkle started her teleport, Sleuth grabbed on Sparkle's neck, against his surprise. Sleuth wasn't going to be left behind. He wanted to survey the scene for himself. Plus, all the fighting created a perfect atmosphere for a little snooping around the Duke's manor. Hey, wait a minute, you son of a... Heartstrings yelled furious as Twilight teleported away. Fisher snorted in derision as Greengrass fled from the battlefield, with Charlie nipping at his hooves. Trixie on the other hoof dropped her jaw almost to the ground. How is this possible? The Duke won't just run like this, would he? Trixie could hardly believe her own eyes. I expected as much, Fisher said nonplussed. He seemed to notice Trixie's expressive bafflement. Are you so surprised? He's always been a rat, hiding and scheming in the corner, never getting his paws dirty himself. Trixie considered that maybe she misjudged Duke Greengrass all along. This was the pony she feared and dreaded the entire time. Forget about him, Fisher interrupted her thoughts. Don't you have more pressing matters to contend with? This put Trixie's mind back in order as she put 100% of her focus on her opponent. It was time to finish things. No more distractions.
Right,
Trixie said, trailing her sword.
I need to kick your flank.
That's the spirit! Fisher congratulated and charged, holding his hammer in his aura. The next attack pushed Trixie back, dinking her deep into the ground, as he applied the attack with her sword, holding both sides of the hoof. Fisher unleashed a barrage of wild, unpredictable swings that forced Trixie to either dodge or block, and left no room for a counterattack. One of Fisher's swings, Trixie lost her hoofing with a bad step, and the blow caused her to crash into Greengrass's mare. Kitsen's staff screamed when she smashed in and bent the stainless steel oven. Trixie Winston got back on her hooves. She ignored the chief that was yelling at her. She went back outside awaiting Fisher. This time, Trixie went on the offensive and slashed at Fisher, who dodged, keeping his distance. Fisher definitely avoided Trixie's attacks and battered her away with a powerful blow to the back. Trixie recovered in the air, landing on her hooves. She could not believe how fast he was. Trixie once again cursed not having her magic. Summoning someone losers would be pretty helpful right about now. She hadn't expected him to be this powerful after seeing how damaged his morpher was. His whole body radiated power and might, and he towered over her. Fisher wailed at her with his hammer as she dodged, but Fisher got a very blind spot with a hoof. She panted as she struggled to her hooves after a nasty punch to the gut. Trixie growled. She was outmatched, and they both knew it. Instead of gloating, however, Fisher watched over her, waiting. She pawed the ground, ready for another round. She would not let this jerk get his way. Outmatched or not, she would win this. She took a battle post and readied herself for the next attack. Fisher charged and assaulted Trixie with a heavy, overwhelming blows from his hammer. This time, Trixie watched Fisher's hooves and avoided any cheap hits. As he caught a blow with a hoof, it pulled him and delivered a headbutt to the face. Fisher winced and stunned for a moment. Trixie took advantage of this and cut him across the chest. Fisher chuckled as he recovered. Nice work! Trixie found herself under another storm of blows, but she was able to keep pace with him this time. She realized that Fisher had more power, but seemed more than made up in speed. Trixie reminded herself not to be intimidated by his speed and power, and fight more carefully. If she could hit him once, she could do him again. Fisher overswung over his attacks, and Trixie punished him for it with a slash across the face. Trixie found that she could get an attack or two as she fought with patience and played defensively. She noticed that Fisher's had just split his attention, using both his magic and attacking with his hooves. Something she found she could exploit. Using her speed, she moved between Fisher's attacks and blocked him with her sword or her hooves. Fisher stopped and dropped his hammer from his aura to his hooves. Trixie cursed. Seeing she noticed, she figured out how to exploit the weakness of his strategy. Not bad. You learned to adapt quickly, Fisher complimented. He hoisted his hammer behind his back. It's time to stop playing around. Trixie gasped at the speed of Fisher's hammer and almost lost her head. She tried to block the next scene with a sword, but Fisher's next attack tore it out of her hooves. Trixie jumped back to a safe distance and summoned her weapon back. Fisher used this distraction and charged out like a bull. Tracy gasped in surprise at their unexpected charge. She tried to jump to the side, but Fisher smashed his hammer into her midsection, and Tracy crashed through a tree and into a little pond in the garden. Tracy crawled out of the pond, panting. Her whole body ached, and she knew she could not keep this up for much longer. She struggled to put herself back into battle position. Fisher approached with calm sure-like steps. The fight had already been decided. In a blur, he was on her with devastating strikes from his hammer that Tracy almost didn't avoid. His attacks contained such power that the force of each swing tore and blew apart everything in its path, causing the ground to be torn to pieces, despite the hammer never touching the ground. The force one attack almost threw Trixie off her hose when she tried to avoid it. Trixie gritted her teeth and reminded herself that the fight wasn't over yet. When one of Fisher's swings was too wide, Trixie dove in and jabbed into his chest. He howled in pain and tried to retaliate with a sudden jab, but Trixie saw this coming and dodged and responded with another cut from her blade. Sparks flew and Fisher was almost knocked off his hooves. "Nice job!" Fisher complimented. "I felt that one."
"You aren't so bad yourself,"
Tracy said while smiling, getting her breath back. It saw that they were both getting pretty tired. He knew this fight would end soon. She was so focused on their fight, she jumped with Twilight and her white armor suddenly teleported in front of her. A dazed Sleuth next to her. He wobbled on his hooves. Tracy gave him a sympathetic look. "Not doing that again," Sleuth croaked.
"Yeah, that was a little dumb. You're lucky you made it in one piece. Teleportation has..."
Twilight stopped her magic lecture when she saw Trixie.
"Trixie!"
Twilight said in relief.
"You're all right." "Yes."
Trixie puffed a little annoyed.
"I'm fine." "Thank goodness," Twilight proclaimed. "Well, you vanished. We were so worried." "I'm happy to see you, too. But do you mind?"
Trixie said, tapping her hoof with a little patience.
"I'm kind of in the middle of something."
Twilight turned towards Fisher, then back at Trixie in apparent confusion.
"You don't want my help?"
"No," Trixie replied simply. "This is a personal duel, Miss Sparkle," Fisher said with some repulse in his voice.
"Oh,"
Twilight said, downtrodden. Trixie felt a little bad as she hurt Twilight's feelings. She felt ready a way to fix that.
"If you really want to help,"
Trixie said after a moment's thought,
"back up Rangers."
They turned towards the Pegasus. From here, it was obvious the fight was not going well. Unlike Fisher, Notary was fighting at full strength for the fight. It was too much for Raindrops. I think this was a little more silly and comical than the author intended.
"Got it,"
Twilight said with a nod. She teleported, blindsided Notary with a shot from her gun to her head.
"I mean, honestly, I'm seeing this cool fight happening and then
suddenly Twilight teleports in, and then the music and everything just stops. I mean, even the special effects pause in the mid-air. As Trixie makes these comments, and Twilight sees that, and they see this awesome battle happening between Raindrops and Notary. Then Trixie tells them to go ahead, and this conversation finishes. And then the music starts back up again, right where it left off. "If you don't mind, I think I'm going to sit down somewhere over there," Sleuth said, pointing in a random direction. He looked very defiant. "Please don't blow me up." He stumbled away in that direction. Now that this distraction was out of the way, and she had a much-needed break, Trixie refocused her attention back on Fisher, who seemed to be waiting for her to make the next move. Trixie dove out, sword in hoof, at blinding speed. He countered by trying to swat her away with his hammer. Trixie rolled under a swing and slashed the leg holding his hammer. He was in pain and dropped his weapon. Trixie didn't have time to celebrate, for Fisher kicked her in the stomach, disarming her as well. Fisher moved in for a punch, and Trixie caught it with her hooves. They exchanged blows, matching each other blow for blow. "Standing here, I realize..." Trixie repaid each punch and kick with a fist's one of her own. Both combatants found themselves too tired to do much dodging anymore, so it was a contest who could take the most punishment. Trixie screamed in pain when Fisher's hoof cracked her helmet. Trixie made his way for it, then with a kick that cracked his chest plate. They dove and hit each other in the head at the same time. They both stumbled back, stunned for a moment. The reprieve only lasted a moment, and they were eyeing each other again. Trixie shuddered in pain when Fisher hit the cracked part of her helmet. She hit back on her cracked plate. Both attacks made the cracking spread even farther across her body. Trixie made an unintelligible sound of rage. The pain was not like what she had felt when Nightlight cut her horn, but she ignored it and fought long. Trixie screamed and they began again. So you could feel that Fisher was losing power, not unlike what happened with Nightlight. Fisher pushed on, not deterred for even a moment. He held nothing back when he grappled with her and almost pushed her to the ground. Her host dove deep into the ground, crusting through the cement under her like it was made of dead leaves as he held her ground. Fisher slammed his forehead into Trixie as he reeled back, stunned for a moment, only to retaliate with a headbutt of her own. She hit him so hard the horn on Fisher's helmet bent at an odd angle. He howled, an odd distorted sound. Under his grip, it fell to one knee. His breathing became ragged. Fisher summoned his hammer back and held it with a shaky hoof. Trixie's own sword wasn't much steadier. They both seemed to know this would be the final blow. They stared each other down, waiting. Behind them, they heard Twilight Raindrop's fight with Notary rage on. There was a crash that sounded like part of the roof of Greengrass's mansion had just collapsed. They used this as the signal began. Warrior's Pride! Searing Blade! Trixie stabbed directly into Fisher's chest plate. Fisher slammed his hammer directly into the cracked portion of Trixie's helmet. An explosion. Everything went black for a moment from the pain. When she opened her eyes, Trixie saw she was on the street. Somehow she hadn't unmorphed. She knew her powers were barely holding on. Her armor had more cracks in it than she could count. There wasn't much left of the street when she was on, and had been torn to shreds by her impact. Ponies all around gaped at her. Trixie gaped as well when she saw that she had smashed through everything in her wake. The gate and walls surrounding Greengrass's mansion and stood a chance. Trixie felt like crap and just wanted to sleep, but she looked back to the grounds of Greengrass's mare. Nuri tried to stop her and shied away when she got close. She ignored them and focused only on moving her body forward. Trixie wasn't surprised when Fisher also went toward her. There wasn't much stuff in his armor either. They met in a batch of flowers and stared each other down. Fisher darted forward, but his charge was slow and sluggish. Trixie didn't even move and watched as Fisher's hoof rushed at her face. It stopped midair, almost touching her. He fell forward and collapsed, unmorphing as he hit the ground. His morpher cracked and split apart, and soon vanished into dust. Fisher aged before her eyes, losing any youth he had left. His coat became paler, and his mane lost its shine. Much to Trixie's surprise, despite this, he smiled up with a sage face. It looked genuine and pleased. You know, how does this tell a better Power Ranger in MLP form than Mikens ever does? Oh wait, that's because it comes down to caring! I was right, Fisher said in a weak voice. You are the pony we need. He grabbed Trixie's hoof and stared into her visor with a stern gaze. She's moving her plans forward. Don't let her win. He didn't seem to have much energy to even talk. Just these last few sentences drained him. Corona. Trixie knew this was the only one he could be talking about. Fisher nodded. The stars are finishing. She's amassing great power. She might become too powerful to fight. Promise me you will fight and win the same ferocity you did today. Otherwise, Equestria, no, the world might not survive. You are Equestria's protector now. Trixie nodded. I will. Fisher gave her a wide smile and lost consciousness. Trixie unmorphed and looked down at Fisher. He seemed contented and at peace. Trixie wasn't sure what to think at the moment. She wanted to hate him for everything his plans put her and her friends through, but she couldn't somehow. Maybe she was too tired right now. One thing she did know was that he was right about Corona. Corona will be stopped, Trixie promised in a quiet voice.